Good evening. Dear student, yesterday we have discussed the three states of the matter and we distinguish these three states of matter on the basis of certain properties. Now we know that matter can exist in three states: solid, liquid and gas. All these three states of matter are interchangeable. That is, a solid can be changed into liquid state, a liquid can be changed into gas and vice versa. The change of the state can be brought in three ways. Number one, by heating or cooling. That is, by change in temperature. The second way of changing the state of the matter is by subjecting matter to change in pressure. And the third way is by combined effect of change of temperature and pressure. In CBSE 9th class, you will learn the change of state by heating or by cooling, that is, by change in temperature. These two factors are beyond the scope of this lecture. So, first change of state that we will discuss today is change of state from solid to liquid, and this change is called melting or fusion. When a solid changes, the particles of the matter in solid state gain kinetic energy. Now they begin to oscillate with a greater amplitude, and the interparticle forces of attraction between them begin to decrease, and the particle of the matter in this state begin to move to some extent, and result is that the substance changes its state from solid to liquid. जब आप किसी सॉलिड को हीट करते हो तो हीट इज अ फॉर्म ऑफ एनर्जी. सो पार्टिकल्स ऑफ द सॉलिड गेन दिस एनर्जी. उनकी काइनेटिक एनर्जी बढ़ेगी. काइनेटिक एनर्जी बढ़ेगी तो पहले जो वो स्मॉलर एम्पलीट्यूड से ऑसिलेशन कर रहे थे, ग्रेटर एम्पलीट्यूड से ऑसिलेशन करने लगेंगे. उनकी काइनेटिक एनर्जी इंक्रीज हो जाएगी और पार्टिकल विद इन द मैटर, उसी मैटर के अंदर मूव करने लगेंगे और रिजल्ट ये होगा कि सब्सटेंस चेंज होगा अपनी सॉलिड स्टेट से लिक्विड स्टेट. द चेंज ऑफ स्टेट फ्रॉम सॉलिड टू लिक्विड is called melting or fusion. When a solid is heated, it changes into liquid state at a particular constant temperature. That constant particular temperature at which a solid begins to change into the liquid state is called its melting point. What is melting point? Melting point is a constant temperature at which a solid begins to change into liquid state. For example, ice changes into water at 0 degrees Celsius. It means melting point of ice is 0 degree Celsius. When a solid changes into liquid state, the temperature remains constant. See, we have ice at minus 10 degrees Celsius. When it is kept at room temperature or it is heated gently, it will gain energy and its temperature will rise. The temperature will rise minus 9 degree, minus 8, minus 7, minus 6, minus 4, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, and finally the temperature will reach to 0 degrees Celsius. As the temperature of ice reaches to 0 degrees Celsius, though the heat is being supplied continuously, the temperature does not change. It remains constant. And the temperature will remain constant so long the whole of the ice changes to water. That is, the temperature of the ice is 0 degrees Celsius and temperature of water is also 0 degrees Celsius. Now the question arises, why does temperature not change when a solid begins to change into the liquid state? एक क्वेश्चन यहाँ ये पूछा जा सकता है कि जब एक सॉलिड मेल्ट होने लगता है तो उसका टेम्परेचर चेंज क्यों नहीं होता? The simple explanation is that when a solid changes into the liquid state, the heat supplied is used to change the state of the substance. It does not increase the temperature of the substance. जो heat supply की गई है वो state change करने के काम में आ गई है. It is not used for changing the temperature of the substance. ये heat temperature को change नहीं करती. This heat supplied to change the state of a solid into liquid state at constant temperature is called latent heat of fusion. So what is latent heat of fusion? It is the heat supplied to change the state of 1 kilogram of a solid into liquid state at atmospheric pressure and at constant temperature is called latent heat of fusion. किसी सॉलिड 1 किलोग्राम सॉलिड को पूरी तरह से लिक्विड स्टेट में कांस्टेंट टेम्परेचर पर और एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर पर चेंज करने के लिए जो हीट सप्लाई की जाती है उसको लेटेंट हीट ऑफ फ्यूजन कहते हैं। तो जब कोई सॉलिड मेल्ट होता है तो उसका टेम्परेचर चेंज नहीं होता, टेम्परेचर क्या रहता है? कांस्टेंट रहता है। और वो कांस्टेंट इसलिए रहता है कि जो हीट सप्लाई की जा रही है वो हीट क्या नहीं करती है? टेम्परेचर को चेंज नहीं करती, बट इट इज यूज्ड टू चेंज द स्टेट ऑफ द सॉलिड इनटू लिक्विड स्टेट। ये हीट काम में आती है सॉलिड स्टेट से लिक्विड स्टेट में बदलने के लिए। अगर आप डिटेल में और इसका एक्सप्लेनेशन पूछें तो एक्चुअली व्हेन अ सॉलिड is heated and it begins to melt, the heat supplied does not increase the average kinetic energy of the constituent particles. Rather than the heat supplied is used to weaken the interparticle forces of attraction. ये थोड़ा डिटेल वाला एक्सप्लेनेशन हो गया कि जो हीट सप्लाई की जाती है सॉलिड को मेल्ट होते समय, वो उसके कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट पार्टिकल की एवरेज काइनेटिक एनर्जी नहीं बढ़ाती, बल्कि वो हीट काम में आती है पार्टिकल्स को जो फोर्सेस बांधे हुए होते हैं उन फोर्सेस को कमजोर करने में। सिंस द एवरेज काइनेटिक एनर्जी ऑफ द पार्टिकल डज नॉट इंक्रीज, therefore the temperature remains constant। क्योंकि पार्टिकल्स की काइनेटिक एनर्जी, एवरेज काइनेटिक एनर्जी इंक्रीज नहीं हो रही है, इसलिए टेम्परेचर भी कांस्टेंट रहता है, केवल स्टेट चेंज होती है सॉलिड से लिक्विड स्टेट। Now let's see what happens when a liquid is cooled. So change of state from liquid to solid. And it is let's see, when a liquid is cooled, the average kinetic energy of the constituent particles begins to decrease. The interparticle forces of attraction between the constituent particles begin to increase, and a stage is reached when the particles are bonded together by so strong interparticle forces that they cannot move freely. Finally, the substance changes its state from liquid to solid state. When a liquid changes into solid state, the liquid loses heat. And when a solid changes into liquid state, it absorbs heat. जब एक सॉलिड लिक्विड स्टेट में बदलता है वो हीट का एब्सॉर्प्शन करता है, और जब एक लिक्विड सॉलिड स्टेट में चेंज होगी तो वो जितनी हीट उसने एब्सॉर्ब की थी उतनी हीट को वो लूज करता है. Remember, the change of state from liquid to solid is called freezing. The temperature at which a liquid changes into solid state at constant temperature is called its freezing point. Now remember, for a given substance, the melting point and freezing point are numerically same. That is, the temperature at which a solid changes into liquid state, at the same temperature, a liquid changes into its solid state. For example, ice changes into water at 0 degrees Celsius, and water changes into ice at the same 0 degrees Celsius. The difference is that when the ice changes into water, it absorbs heat. And when water changes into ice, it gives out, it loses heat. जब आइस वाटर में चेंज होता है तो वो हीट का एब्जॉर्प्शन करता है, और जब वाटर आइस में बदलता है तो वो हीट लूज करता है. Tomorrow we shall discuss the change of state from liquid to gas and gas to liquid.